All right. Well, hello there. Happily Married Woman is Dr. Siobhan Parad here, founder of Relatable. And I wanted to come on and just say hello. I feel like it's been a little bit since I've done a live stream specifically in this group for this group only. And I thought I would just pop on tonight real quick to do that. So we have a lot of new members. And so if you are relatively new to the group, meaning you've joined in the last couple of months, welcome, welcome, welcome. I hope that you have made yourself comfortable here. I hope that you have, been peeking around and looking at videos and posts and things like that, because I'm sure there's something here that will benefit you and benefit your marriage. But tonight I wanted to come on and talk really, really quickly about how a happily married woman operates. So, the name of this group obviously is Happily Married Woman. And when I came up with that name, that title, it really wasn't because everyone is happily married, right? So I know that as we think of all the members here, some of us are actually in sort of a blissful state in our marriage, and others are sort of struggling. And what I really thought about in coming up with the name Happily Married Woman was really this idea that happiness is a state of mind, and that everything doesn't have to be perfect. Everything doesn't even have to be good in your marriage. You can be in a rut. You can be in sort of this funky place where you and your husband are a little bit disconnected and not communicating well and just not feeling each other. And you can still tap into your happiness. You can tap into joy and peace, because at the end of the day, that stuff does not come from external circumstances, and it doesn't come from your husband, right? So the peace and the joy and the happiness that you can experience really comes from within. And, for me and my own personal beliefs, I believe that the source of those positive emotions really is God. And so the more that you can tap into God, and the more that you can begin to look within yourself to create your own personal sense of happiness and fulfillment and joy and peace, the better off you will be. No matter what your husband is doing, no matter what your husband is not doing, right? So I describe myself as a marriage coach that helps women have happy, more loving marriages without having to make over that husband. So many times we sit and look and believe that we can't really truly be happy until something changes about him, something changes about our marriage, something changes about some external circumstance. But I believe that, the quickest route to improving your marriage and the fastest way to really be happy is to take a good look in the mirror and to take a look at the ways that you may be contributing to your own unhappiness by the way you think. And so what I wanted to do tonight was to just share with you three principles or ways of being that I believe a happily married woman utilizes. So these are sort of like how a happily married woman operates from a mindset perspective, because that's so, so important. And so the first thing is a happily married woman practices gratitude. And I feel like gratitude is like a cure for everything. If you guys ever saw that movie, My Big Fat Greek Wedding, remember how they always talked about how like Windex was like the cure-all for everything? And I really feel that gratitude is similar, that no matter what you're experiencing, no matter what you're going through, that if you can literally step into a place of gratitude, if you can really pause and take notice and appreciate what is going right, the blessings that you have in your life, the things that you have been fortunate enough to experience, then it really puts things in perspective. And it's hard to step into gratitude when you're in all of these negative emotions of being frustrated, upset, or hurt. But the more you can do it, the better you're going to feel. And the feeling is like instantaneous. And so, you've seen these quotes and questions, I'm sure all over social media, what can you be grateful for today? A question that I was posed one time, which really stuck with me, was, where did you see God today? Right? Like, where did he show up in your life? And when you just pause to reflect on that, when you pause to just sort of take stock at the beauty and the miracles, little tiny miracles that happen in your life every single day, then it really does diminish many of the things that you feel are going wrong. And so that's principle number one for how a happily married woman operates. She practices gratitude on a daily basis. I'll share personally, before I even open my eyes and before I even step out of the bed, I give thanks for 3 things that I'm grateful for. I literally have a conversation with God before I crack open an eye. And I identify 3 things that I'm grateful for. And it really sets the tone for a good day. So I encourage you to find your own gratitude practice, whether that's asking a question or just identifying 3 things that you're grateful for every single day, big or small. So that's number 1. Number 2 is a happily married woman operates out of a place of acceptance. And in your marriage, and particularly as it relates to your husband, right? Like, there's so many things you probably want him to be doing differently, to be saying differently, to be thinking differently. And it's so easy to get caught up in all that he's not, in all that you wish he would be. And so many times, we find ourselves in trouble because we've idealized this image of our husband that doesn't exist, right? And so the truth of the matter is, he's that same man that we met years and years ago. But, some of his faults were maybe not as prominent in our thinking, not as prominent in our mind, because there seemed like there was so much other stuff that he was bringing to the table. And we get to a place now where maybe we have evolved, maybe the things that we want are a little bit different, and we don't accept him as he is. We sit and look in judgment. We sit and look with criticism for the way he is being, when many times he's always been that way. We just accepted it before, or it was okay before, because we put it in context of a bigger picture. And so a happily married woman is able to get back to that space, to get back to the place of truly accepting exactly where her husband is, to getting to a place where she doesn't want to change him, she's not trying to change him, but that she can really just stay in the moment, stay present to who he is, and to know that, he's going to grow and evolve at the rate that he's supposed to, right? It's not our job to fix our husbands. It's not our job to nudge him to be doing things or thinking of things in a different way. That's God's job, right? He's the one that created him. We are there to be a source of support, a source of love, a source of acceptance. And so a happily married woman really is able to intentionally get to that place where she accepts her husband, where it's not a fight in her mind for who he should be, and that she really can appreciate who he is at this very moment and accept him. And oftentimes, people know their own shortcomings. They know their own downfalls. They don't need anyone pointing that out to them. I'm sure you've experienced that yourself. If I were to ask you, what are the things you need to be working on, you could come up with that list. I don't need to tell you. And likewise with our husbands, right? He doesn't need us pointing out all of his faults. He needs us just accepting him and giving him the space to get there when he gets there. And that is a place that really offers us and you as a wife a lot of peace, right? It's so much more peaceful to just be okay, this is what it is. This is where he is. This is what he's able to do. This is not what he's doing, right? And the moment you just have an open mind and an open posture and literally open your hands to just receive and accept where he is the moment you create an environment and room for that to change. But if you're trying to control him, if you're trying to direct him, if you're trying to get him to see things a particular way, you're going to run up against a lot of resistance because, for anything to change, there has to be a certain level of acceptance that comes first. And so I encourage you to just look at the ways that you can appreciate and accept your husband for exactly who he is right now. Okay, so that's number 2, acceptance. Number 1, as a quick recap, was a happily married woman practices gratitude regularly, daily, even multiple times a day. Number 3 was she operates from a place of acceptance, accepting her husband just as he is. And then point number 3 is a happily married woman operates out of a place of empowerment, which means that she focuses her time, her attention on, and her effort on the things that are actually within her control. So these all sort of tie into each other, right? It's not about changing him. It's about changing you. It's about where are you supposed to be growing? What are you supposed to be learning? How are you supposed to be changing and stretching? I often say that, our spouses are mirrors to us, that the things that annoy us about him are the areas in our own lives where we need to take a good long look in the mirror, and the places where we need to be better, where we need to grow. And so I think, to be happily married, again, is a state of mind. It doesn't mean that everything is picture perfect, but it really means that you take responsibility for your own emotions, that you take responsibility for your own reactions, right? I can't tell you how many times we, myself included, fall into the trap of saying, he made me so mad, he made me so upset, like he really hurt my feelings. When the reality is, no one did that but you. And the way you did it was by your thinking. The way you did it was by the story you tell yourself about some action he took or some comment he made. A lot of times we have this tendency to dramatize things and make things so like the worst case scenario, like he doesn't love me, he doesn't care for me, I'm not important to him. Those are the stories that we tell ourselves. And it's because of that story, right, the thoughts that we have, that we then react, right? But we put the blame on him. Like he's the one that's causing our suffering. He's the one that's causing our frustration and our pain. But again, a happily married woman takes responsibility, and she operates out of a place of empowerment where she can say, no, like I have 100% choice in how I respond to this. I have 100% choice in how I choose to think about this situation in my marriage right now. So that's what I wanted to come on and share with you. Again, 3 things, 3 ways a happily married woman operates. Number 1, she operates out of a place of gratitude. Number 2, she operates out of a place of acceptance of her husband. And number 3, she operates out of a place of empowerment, focusing on the things that are within her own control to make a difference about. So that's what I wanted to share. Thank you for tuning in. It is always my honor to lead this group. I encourage you to hit me up in the comments, right? If you have a question, if you have a pushback, if you're like, no, Siobhan, you're way off base, or yes, Siobhan, you're totally right. I would love to hear. I'd love to know that you have tuned in, and let me know if this has been helpful to you. Thank you, and I will see you sometime soon. Have a great evening, ladies. Bye-bye.